Hey everyone, thank you so much for clicking on this video. The fact that you are willing to sacrifice a few minutes out of your day to consume my content really does mean the world to me. For those of you that are unaware, I try to review every movie that gets released. So if you're ever curious about a new movie, if it's any good, if it's the best thing ever, come to my channel and I will let you know. So subscribe if you haven't yet, and let's jump right into this review of Marry Me. Now, this was a film at first I really wasn't looking forward to. But then ultimately I was given a few tickets to go watch it. I watched with my fiance and her parents, and I have to say, I loved this movie. I thought it was absolutely hilarious, and I thought the story was really engaging and enjoyable. Now, I've spoken to a few other movie reviews that also went to go watch this film, and we all came up with roughly the same conclusions, and that is that this movie is very formulaic. If you've watched any other romantic comedy, you're going to feel like you've watched this movie before, and that's the truth. However, I believe that this movie does bring enough new material to the table that it's definitely worth you watching and engaging your time with. Again, I mentioned I really enjoyed it, I thought it was funny, and I fell in love with the characters. But ultimately, we follow two characters. We follow Jennifer Lopez's character, who honestly, before this movie, I knew nothing about her except for the fact that she was a famous singer. I didn't know any of her music, I didn't know any of her songs, I didn't even know what she looked like. And then of course we get Owen Wilson, who I love. So the roles in my head were reversed because I knew the guy who was the nobody, and then of course I knew nothing about Jennifer Lopez. But of course Jennifer Lopez's character is the super megastar singer in this film who ultimately decides, you know what, I've had it, I'm going to go marry this man. And ultimately the movie's about their relationship. Will it work? Is it all a publicity stunt? We don't know. We're gonna have to see how this works out. And I really enjoyed it. I thought the movie was funny, engaging, and enjoyable. So looking at the positives, I've already said this multiple times, so of course you can tell I'm going to say it was a funny movie. There were lots of scenes that actually made me laugh out loud. And especially in romantic comedies, that doesn't happen very often. I love romantic comedies, I love romantic movies. So very often they feel very, as we mentioned earlier, they feel very formulaic, and their jokes are very similar. But this movie had a unique edge to it in its style of comedy, which I enjoyed. Then of course we also have some great chemistry between Owen Wilson and Jennifer Lopez. I thought they were phenomenal together. And again, not knowing anything about Jennifer Lopez other than she's a singer, I was a little bit worried about her performance, but she was great, fantastic. She carried emotional scenes really well. And when she had the screen on her, when the camera was on her, she was great. She really carried her scenes with bravado, with charisma. And so I really enjoyed every scene she was in. And then of course, Owen Wilson is just great in everything he's done. He's the great everyman. Owen Wilson is just phenomenal with just being a man that every person in the audience can relate to. He's a great surrogate for the audience. And I felt a lot like Owen Wilson as well, because he's like, I don't even know who this singer is. That's exactly how I felt with Jennifer Lopez. So you and me both, buddy. So besides the film being formulaic, another thing that a lot of reviewers also spoke to me about was the woke elements. A lot of them really didn't enjoy how woke this movie was. And I'm someone that doesn't generally enjoy woke movies. I feel like woke messaging and political messaging in films is something that has to go sooner rather than later. But I never necessarily felt that way in this film. Yes, this was a very diverse cast, and yes, we definitely had a lot of woke characters within this film. But what was great about this movie is that these characters were written really well. These characters were not their wokeness, for lack of a better term. These characters were more than just their sexualities or their diversity or their race. And so I think this is a great way to describe it. Usually when reviewers are busy complaining about woke characters, we look at a character and we go, okay, cool. That character's entire identity, for example, is that they are gay. And every single joke has to be centered around the fact that they are gay. And that's why reviewers don't seem to enjoy characters like that, especially the reviewers I've been speaking to, because that's not a realistic portrayal of a well-written character or a real person. If you're a real person, your entire life doesn't revolve around your sexuality. You've got other passions, you've got other interests. And that's actually what shone through in this movie. We had, for example, a lesbian character, a gay character, but they weren't their sexuality. Yes, they let the audience know, hey, look, I'm gay or I'm a lesbian, but they had additional personality traits besides that. And they were funny in their own rights. Owen Wilson's best friend in this movie, she's a lesbian, she's a guidance counselor, my favorite character in the movie. I thought she was hilarious. And I think if we are going to have woke elements scattered throughout films moving forward, they have to be done like this, understanding the fact that characters are not just their diversity points. If you want to make well-written characters, you've actually got to write characters that are realistic. So yes, those are probably the two biggest negatives I can think of in this film. The fact that it's very, very formulaic. I mean, I remember sitting there in the audience going, yo, I wonder when this is going to happen. And then 30 seconds later it happened. So it's very, very formulaic. But if you are looking for something that is safe, that you can still enjoy, this is a great film for you. And then I'll have to say, I'm not necessarily someone that enjoys pop music in the slightest. So the fact that so much of this film is based around a female pop singer and the songs she sings, the fact that I could still enjoy this movie despite all of that happening is a great sign that this is a movie that you can enjoy with well-written characters. And despite the fact that this is a romantic comedy that is incredibly formulaic, I think it also does its best to give itself some unique themes that it decides to tackle. A big theme throughout this entire movie is female empowerment, women in media, and women in the workplace. How does society treat women in positions of power, and how much harder do women have to work to get to an authority position or a position where they can be seen as equal to men? I thought that was great. I've been enjoying narratives like that a lot more since actually speaking to my fiance about it a little bit more and understanding what everyday women go through. And so I've kind of been like championing that a little bit, like trying to equalize women and men, not just in like in a black and white equal pay way, but in the fact that like we've got to view each other equally. But I'm not trying to sound progressive here. That was just the theme of the movie that I really enjoyed. So yes, guys, if you don't enjoy romantic comedies, then chances are you won't enjoy this because it's as cookie cutter as it gets. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. And you know what? If you want a very good comparison to this movie from another romantic comedy, I would say Notting Hill with Hugh Grant. Very close and similar to this movie. But guys, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't yet, please hit the subscribe button, and I hope to see you again in another movie review. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching another one of my videos. It really does mean the world to me. For those of you that are unaware, I've recently partnered up with Zapcast, and I'm currently hosting 2 of their shows, the ABCs of Content Creation and the Weekly Fundamentals. So if you are at all interested, jump across to their socials and check them out.